And welcome to the Jitterbit session for the Application Architecture Summit, where we'll hear how companies are modernizing their enterprise and legacy apps with less complex coding thanks to APIs and cloud integration technologies. Let me introduce you to our two great speakers this morning, Manoj Chandri, CTO, and Sean Fahudi, Senior Director of North America. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Vance, and glad to be here presenting this session.
Nice to meet everybody. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have Manoj and Sean with us this morning. Manoj, for his part, leads the Jitterbed technical side of product strategy as well as technology development and operations. He brings 20 plus years of IT experience to his current post across management, architecture, design, and software development. And Sean is a seasoned integration architect with 15 years experience, having worked at AWS and Oracle prior to Jitterbit, and now focuses a lot on using integration to help modernize applications. The session this morning is entitled Modernize Your Enterprise Applications Through API Integration. You know, microservices and APIs have gotten a lot of attention these days for building new apps, but did you also know that these same technologies can power modernization of your valuable on-premise and legacy applications? Well, in fact, they do. And so today, Manoj and Sean will show us how innovative use of APIs and iPaaS let companies easily fetch data and transform complex legacy apps. We'll get some best practices on how to do this, and we'll even get a real world demo. So, a great session. And just a quick note before we hand it to Sean and Manoj, today's slides are available as a PDF. Just hit the big red button on the view screen. You'll be able to get them right away. We have some other great takeaways as well, and they're available with links that you can see below. And we love your comments and questions, so to send them to us, just type in the submit a question box. And so with that, Manoj, Sean, tell us how to modernize your enterprise applications through API integration.
Thank you, Vance. And I'm going to start with first talking about Jitterbit product, target market, investor, and some of our growth. So let me first focus on Jitterbit product. Jitterbit has two main products offering iPaaS and APIM. iPaaS is integration platform as a service, and APIM is API management. iPaaS allows the user to integrate and transform data from virtually any source to any target. APIM allow users to expose integration built using iPaaS as an API or proxy to already built APIs/microservices. Our APIM offering has support for full lifecycle. What I mean by full lifecycle is ability to create, control, and consume. Create means it allows you to plan, build, and document API, basically thinking in API first mindset. Control means ability to secure your APIs, version your API, deprecate your API, etc. Secure, what does secure mean? Secure means if I want to expose an API, I can decide between OAuth versus basic profiling or rate limiting, whitelisting. You can attach different policies to an API. Consume is an ability for the end user of an API to start consuming, and we have tools such as API portal, ability to discover API, see the documentation of API, and finally at runtime, see the analytics of those APIs. And we, from the market standpoint for these products, serve both small to medium-sized customers across the various verticals. Our sweet spot is upper mid-market and enterprises, especially who are modernizing their IT stack using cloud application. We are backed by some of the marquee investors like Autodesk Group, KKR, Salesforce, etc. Not only we are backed by well-known investors, but some of the key analysts validate our market position in iPaaS. For Gartner, for 5 years in a row, we are a leader in MQ. Forrester places us as a strong performer in hybrid integration platform. G2 is a crowdsourced review and rating site, and they put us as a number one in customer satisfaction. These in G2 specifically, the ratings are given by the actual users of the product. We are very proud to get this rating from them. Along with that, we are certified for our connectivity by SAP and Oracle and Workday. Now, what is one of the key problems exists today in the market? The problem is in today's world, there is too much of gap between the old IT infrastructure, or in other words, existing IT infrastructure, and the new way of building apps. It's a pretty big gap. What does that mean, the old? So if you look at the image on the left, you can pretty easily see that some of these systems are really old. Some of these can be as old as our late 80s, early 90s mainframe system. And some of these systems or applications are homegrown applications and built to satisfy specific business needs. Additionally, not only specific business need, they might not be using traditional data stores to store and persist the data. So on the other hand, if you look at last couple of decades, technology and design patterns has evolved at a very high pace, starting from service-oriented architecture to REST-based architecture to now microservices architecture available on cloud as a SaaS offering. That is the most prominent way of building applications and delivering applications. As I said, many companies' IT infrastructure look like on the left. What does it tell us? It tells us that in order to extract data out of these applications and services, users most of the time have to go to their data sources directly. Not only to one data source, many times they have to go to various data sources to fetch the data and build the application. So in net, there are no clean API and interfaces for application developers to build the integration or application. So let's say you want to build an application for your end customers, which they consume by means of mobile or a browser. In order to do that, or let's take an example. Let's say you want to build application as an insurance company, and you want your customer to get a quote, download their premium, download the documentation, see all the billing assets you have, and you want to expose that in a mobile. All that data have to come from the various systems. And if your IT infrastructure looks like the one on the left, in order to build that application, that mobile app, you really need to go into those data sources. And you can't do that, and you should not do that. And why is that? Because it takes away the ability to maintain and scale and move with a high agility very, very hard. So the right architecture, if you want to build those kind of applications and move at a really high speed, is to build an API interface to your existing application and data stores using iPaaS and APIM. So if you want to move in that direction, your architecture should look like somewhat like this. What happened on this slide, what you have done now is hidden all your complex IT infrastructure by means of microservices and API. And why someone should do that? Let me give you some reasons to hide that complexity. The first, this will allow you to build new applications by having clean interfaces and API for your old infrastructure. It will allow you to build, maintain, scale your new applications or modern application at much faster pace and with high agility. 3, not only that, but it will fit in your new modern infrastructure without going through the cost of ripping and replacing your existing investment on the IT infrastructure, because you have invested millions of dollars to build this infrastructure and made it useful to your business. Plus, the biggest advantage is in this day and age, the application developers want to think only API. They don't want to worry about hassle of knowing the underlying infrastructure and application because that will make them productive. Now the question is, how much of this infrastructure and how many applications needs to be exposed? Probably a lot. Now, the first question which comes to the mind when you have to take your infrastructure and expose APIs or put APIs in front, do I need millions of developers to do that? Probably not. If you adopt the API and iPaaS as your strategy to transform into building API and microservices. So many people will say, if you ask them that you need millions of developers, millions of dollars, but my answer to that is no. And I'll show you on the next slide how. You can use iPaaS and API to quickly build an API network to shield the infrastructure which you have invested quite a bit money on. So if you look at the picture on the left, at a highest level, what you have done is drive the transformation strategy using APIM to hide everything which is complex, monolithic in nature, behind the firewall, homegrown application. Now all that complexity is gone. All the right-hand side apps see is a network of API, clean interface, which each developer can use without worrying about any business logic specific to those systems they have to build. If you look at what is a critical need, the critical business need is to unlock the data on your existing infrastructure, organize it with APIs to readily enable and access so that data can be delivered precisely when needed by these apps. So this solution and this strategy is to modernize your legacy apps. Now, to modernize your legacy apps, where and how Jitterbed can help, let's talk a little bit about that. We have persona-based tools which we offer to our customers. If you look at the first persona, which is designer, they are very technical in nature. They understand the endpoints which they need to build integration for. They understand their data structure. They understand the data model. They understand their objects really well. They primarily use our Cloud Studio product, which is a web-based product, and allows them to build integration by simply dragging and dropping into the workflow. Now, if for the advanced user and complex scenarios, we also have a full-blown scripting available in case they need. Second persona-based tool we offer is APIM. This is primarily used by developers. Developers or application developer is responsible for building APIs and publishing the APIs. As I said in the beginning, that our APIM product offered the complete lifecycle. The users, the creators are the developer. The create and control is done by this persona, and they use primarily our APIM product offering. The third persona, which our product target, is configurator. These are less technical business analyst style users. They don't want to worry about the underlying technology. They have a business problem and they want to simply through answering set of questions, get their business problem solved. And for them, we have Solution Exchange where they can download a particular solution, answer certain questions, press one button which deploys and runs their project, and help them solve business problems. So these are at a high level, 3 development style persona we addresses. The fourth one is administrator, and their responsibility is to manage the integrations and infrastructure around it, like users, the policies, the agents, which we'll talk in a bit. So that's the fourth persona we offer. So if I have to give the net of this slide, the key of this slide is we give our users the choice model to use the tools which fit the needs the best. And all of these tools which I talk is completely web-based, so these tools don't require any footprint on premise. Now, we saw these 3 personas. Under the cover in the cloud, these are the 3 layers which allow these persona to build end-to-end product. So the first row on this slide is all your system. Developers build integrations using our Cloud Studio. Then they expose that integration as an API using our Apim platform. And finally, they use low-code, no-code tool to build applications on top of that API. So what Jitterbit offers is a complete end-to-end solution for the customers. Now let's go behind the scenes a little bit more. And this is our deployment architecture. So from high level, first I want to say is if our customer wants no footprint on their premises and they have only cloud endpoints, they can use our cloud offering and connect those endpoints without having any software in their data center. What I'm going to talk here is what are the components needed when the user wants to integrate the endpoints which are on-premise behind the firewall and the endpoints which are on the cloud. So the first 2 components you see is the Jitterbit cloud in the center of the slide and a Jitterbit agent which is next to the firewall, the big black line. So these are the 2 components. Jitterbit agent is a very small footprint which you install in your data center so that it is close to the endpoints which is behind the firewall. So now user on their laptop or their desktop build integration or API using the tools I just talked, Cloud Studio or Apim, deploy it to the Jitterbit cloud. At this point, the metadata goes in the cloud. Jitterbit agent connects to the Jitterbit cloud. And once our user deploy and run the integration, now all the data is flowing through the agent. So if you see what's happening here is this Jitterbit agent is getting data from all the endpoints which is sitting in the data center and communicating back and forth between cloud application. No runtime data is leaving the premises of data center to the Jitterbit cloud. So that's how we get the hybrid deployment and allow you to integrate various endpoints. Next, the same integration and infrastructure can be used to build APIs. You don't need any additional footprint. So API consumer on the left make a call to the APIs running in the Jitterbit cloud, which automatically goes to the Jitterbit agent and fetch the data from the endpoints in the data center and respond back to the API. Security, because we are having so much communication going across many hops, and especially internet is involved and your data center is involved. So let's see from left to right how the communication is happening. API consumer talk to the cloud APIs using SSL, so that is a secure channel. The channel between Jitterbit cloud and the Jitterbit agent is a bidirectional channel initiated by Jitterbit and completely secure using the SSL protocol. It is on port 443, so no firewall hole is needed. And when Jitterbit agent talks to your endpoints in the data center, it is using the encrypted channel, barring the endpoint supports and offer that channel and protocol. Finally, the high availability for the agent is built into the system. So when our customer or users build the agent, they build it as a cluster. So at any instance of time, if one agent goes down, all the things still work. That workload automatically get moved to the agents which are active. The design pattern is peer-to-peer communication. There is no master slave. Everything is peer in our agent group. When the agent comes back, the communication still continue. It gets the workload again, and now instead of 2, all 3 agents are getting the workload from the cloud. Now, I gave you some of the benefits of the product. These are why some of our customers chooses us and get the key business KPIs out of it. We are very innovative solution. If you just saw how modern the architecture is, both from the security and high availability standpoint. We use best of the breed technology and offer agents and our stack in form of Kubernetes and container. It's really easy to use for all the personas, build around customer, because we take every feedback from our customers seriously, and our products are built around customer feedback. Faster to time to value, success approach, and scalable platform. Now, these are some of the stats from our customer. 75% of our customer go live in less than 30 days. 90% achieve ROI in less than 12 months. And our support is best in class, as you see from the time, which is highlighted in this slide. So we are there when our customer needs, especially in the time they need us most. Let's look at one of our customer. This gives you a flavor of how they took their existing IT infrastructure and modernize it using APIs and integration. Keysight Technology is the company in California. Their headquarters is in Santa Clara. The manufacturers are, I would say, world's leading manufacturer of electronic equipment. And what problem they want to solve was to have a complete visibility into their customer journey, starting from the sale made to the whole master data management. And they had full circle which they wanted to complete. So let's see how their life was before using iPaaS with the old IT infrastructure. So this is how their life looked like. They wanted to integrate on-premise to the cloud apps. It was really difficult to deploy and support because each application have their own interfaces. Each application has a very different technology. Deploying and building anything with it requires a lot of technical expertise, multiple teams to involve, and multiple access levels need to be involved. When the data moves between the application, because they are custom and proprietary, the visibility into those transactions were not there, and it was very low. Error handling was complex for the same reason, because each app has its own way of handling error, and any project which was getting undertaken took very, very long time to finish. So what is the life after they adopt the iPaaS is now, if you look at the right-hand side, the Keysight technology is powered by Jitterbit is much smoother. Now they have access to all the data in their various systems in real time using the integrations and API they have built on top of Jitterbit. They are able to reduce the time to build and deploy an interface from many, many weeks to 1 to 2 weeks. They now have the 360-degree problem solved, so they understand the complete customer journey from sales to all the way managing the entire data set for them. And the transaction visibility and error handling has become pretty seamless because they are using the standard iPaaS and APIM tools, which provide them those out of the box, and all the custom individual error handling get hidden by the integrations built on top of Jitterbit. So that was one customer, but if you look at this slide, we have Fortune 500, we have small to medium businesses across all the verticals, that starting from manufacturing, technology, retail, life sciences, education, and nonprofit. Next. So I gave brief about this in the beginning of the slide, but Jitterbit is in the leaders quadrant of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. 5 years in a row, 100% of our customer recommended us and gave us 5-star rating. We are recognized by Gartner for 3 main things to customers: value for money and time to value, platform versatility, customer relationship, and overall satisfaction. And that is 5 years in the row. And finally, to end, this is a G2 rating. G2 has 3 different indices: usability, relationship, implementation. If you see across these 3 indices, we are easiest to use for usability index. We are best relationship in relationship index, and most implementable and highest user adoption in the implementation index. So we've been rated really high by the users who are using our product on a daily basis and spend majority of time doing their job with our tools. And we really take pride on these ratings, especially the G2 rating. With that, I transition to Sean. He's going to show you the demo of Cloud Studio and how to build API using APIM. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Manoj. Before I start the demo, I'll be using a common real-life scenario that we see with many of our customers who want to easily automate many of their complicated business processes. In some situations, they want to be able to leverage our API platform to improve the time it takes to build their web or mobile application. In order to accomplish this, they look to us to provide them an easy way, an easy manner to make those integrations happen and also create those APIs. And they want to do it with little or no coding. They also look to us to provide them a low-code approach to connecting to massive amount of systems that they need to integrate with and allow them to seamlessly incorporate it into their business flows. So in order to showcase the level of configuration that can be done with Jitterbed, I'll highlight a project that I helped with one of our customers. In this scenario, they wanted to allow their customers to create cases using a mobile application that they had developed. Once the case was submitted in the app, they wanted to send an acknowledgement SMS message to their customer. And then in the process of capturing the case from the mobile app, they also wanted to sentiment analysis to understand the mood of their customer and have that information available. So when they actually create the case in Salesforce, that information is also transmitted as part of the case. So if the customer was not already there in Salesforce, they wanted to create it and then add the case. And for internal purposes, they use Jira as a way of keeping track of their tickets. So they wanted to also create a ticket in Jira. The other thing they also wanted to do is based on those sentiment analysis, if the interaction or the comment that made by the customer was negative, they also wanted to notify a supervisor or from their support team, just so they can take a look at and make sure that the sentiment goes from negative to being positive. They were a very customer-centric company. So with that said, let me go ahead and actually kick off the demo. As you can see on the left-hand side, I have the mobile app that we created for them using a third-party tool. But the interesting thing about this mobile app is behind the scene, based on the action that it's taken, it is interacting with our API platforms. It's calling our APIs to process the flow that we just outlined. So what I'm going to do is actually submit this request with my phone. And what I expect is the whole process that I outlined in my slide to take place. One is an account is created, a case is created. I get notifications, as you can see. You know, we've got your case. We're going to look into it for you. So we're going to keep that alone for just a second, and we're going to come back to Salesforce. What that action did is behind the scene, it triggered a series of workflows. And we're going to go ahead and refresh our Salesforce. And we see this account that was just created. And if we drill into it, we see a case also was created for this specific customer who reached out to us. Next, if we drill into the case itself, you'll notice that we got a statement and a sentiment. And if we look at this on our phone, and I'm going to go ahead and actually click on the link that I was given. Just bear with me. And role I'm playing right now is supervisor for my company, and I just got a notification that something went wrong. A negative comment was created in a case. Now I can look at the same information in my mobile app. Now, the other thing we want to do is to make sure they have a case created in Jira for internal purposes. So let's just go ahead and refresh our cases. You can see that a case was created and a link to the case was also provided. So this is, again, a very quick overview of the use case we did for our customer. Now let's go ahead and see how this project was created. Before I get to the project itself, let me give you a quick overview of the components that Manoj alluded to. We have our Exchange and Citizen Integrator for recipes and templates. We have Management Console for managing your ongoing integrations. We have API Manager where you can go through a no-code approach of creating APIs and exposing APIs. And we have our Cloud Studio. And at the bottom, we have plenty of resources for users to get acclimated with our platform, including our documentation. I'm going to actually navigate to our Cloud Studio. And as you can see, now I have a list of all the applications that I have in my environment. I could have a card view of my project or a list. It's a personal preference. I also want to point out the fact that we have the ability to build connectors to systems that Jitterbit does not provide connectivity to out of the box. So this is a great way for any of our customers to build connectors that they maintain to applications that connectors are not available without coding. I do want to get into the specific project that was responsible for all the things that you saw earlier in our demo. So as you can see, this is Cloud Studio. This is where you design your integration. On your left-hand side, you have a series of workflows. You can organize these in a way that you can easily maintain. And on the right side, you have a set of connectors. And these connectors are connectors that are built by me as a designer, as well as connectors that are available out of the box provided by Jitterbed. And we have connectors to many complicated and hard to integrate with systems such as SAP, NetSuite, Salesforce, Jira, and you can also see some of the connectors that I've built myself. On the center, that's where you drag and drop components either from the connector section or on your workflow and drag and drop it into your palette where you design your integration. And as you can see, you can chain operations together. So you can say, if this operation is done, I want to create a series of other operations to take place. And then we can also look at our logs. We can look at our dependency and easily manipulate the workflows. Let me actually get to the contact us, which is the one that you saw. We also have a very robust transformation engine, so you can take data from your sources and send them to the target as needed. We also provide over 250 functions that allow you to easily manipulate the data as it migrates from source to target. And finally, we have a lot of customers that want to have multiple developers working on the same project at the same time, and we have that capability as well. So this is sort of give you the Google Doc experience where we could have multiple developers. Another important part of this platform is we keep track of this project history, so that way if we need to revert back to a previously deployed version, I know I make a lot of mistakes on my projects, and I always want to go back to a different version because I made a mistake or I deleted something by mistake. I can always restore to a specific point in time. And again, this is just a quick overview of how you can build integration and create them in a very no-code, low-code approach. And with that said, I'd like to send it back to Manoj.
Thank you, Sean, and great demo. So what you saw today is how to modernize your existing IT applications and infrastructure using iPaaS and APIM. How Jitterbit can help you in that transformation strategy of modernizing the infrastructure. And then you saw a real life demo on the Jitterbit platform, which Sean shows you how easy it is to build a simple integration using Jitterbit Cloud Studio and platform. So that concludes our session this morning, and I hand over to Vance for any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoj. Sean, great combination. Really great session. I loved how you took a look at many of the use cases that really go into helping modernize really valuable, critical on-prem assets and data that could be anywhere. So really great session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. You know, it was a great session, and as you might expect, we've got questions. So let me get started with this one. Manoj, there was a lot of discussion of templates for these different persona, the IT and citizen integrator, but the question here was very interesting to me. Does Jitterbit also offer recipes or templates for business scenarios, such as quote to cash or shipment to invoice?
Absolutely. So we have recipes as well as templates. Recipes are solving a simple scenario between two endpoints using single object. Templates that are a solution to actual business problem like quote to cash, which is 80% done. All our customers and user have to do is tweak it to their need, or if they have any specific customization, add that to the template and they are good to go.
Absolutely. We have many connectors out of the box, but for those systems that we do not have connectors for, we do provide a no-code mechanism for you to build connectors on top of any system that has RESTful APIs exposed.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, guys, let's go into the elephant in the room, and that is the idea that many legacy systems and database architectures aren't fully set up to have an API. There's a question here, and I'll throw this out to either one of you. It says, many of our legacy systems just don't have an API to expose. How does Jitterbit give us an entry point to extract data from these systems?
I can take that. So each endpoint we look differently. So let's say if the user has an endpoint which does not have REST API or a SOAP API, we have an SDK, which is Java-based SDK, which allow our users and customers to build the connector, which they can use. The second thing is if the endpoint doesn't even have Java-based API, but they are backed by a protocol-based connectivity like HTTP, JDBC, FTP, SFTP, or TCP, then our customer can build integration using those protocol connectors, which are shipped with our product by default. So there are different ways to even connect with those endpoints in our product today.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, with that, I think we have to wrap up. Time has expired, but one last question before we go. Manoj, Sean, give us a recommendation for the next step people can do to learn more about Jitterbit and how it really works for both the technical IT integrators as well as the business use cases we've discussed.
You can contact us at info@jitterbit.com, and it will get routed to the right person, and we will answer your queries or any sales or anything you need from us.
I'll just add that we also have a YouTube channel, and we'll provide the link and make it available to you for all of our recordings.
Wow, excellent, excellent. A really great session, guys. Manoj Chandri, CTO at Jitterbit, and Sean Fatuhi, Senior Director, North America Sales Engineer. Really great session. You put some really great words of wisdom for modernizing of API-based integration, I think, in people's heads. And we love a demo. Who doesn't love a demo? So thanks again for a great session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And just a quick note, many of the resources that were talked about here in the slides and here the contact us is going to be listed right here in the breakout room, right underneath the video. And in fact, I think with Sean's help, we're going to get a link to the library of Jitterbit demos that he's offered to share. And so much going on at Jitterbit here for both IT and business folks looking at using APIs to modernize their legacy apps. Couldn't fit everything here. So here's a slide that'll take you directly to some other great Jitterbit resources. Download the slide deck today, and all these links will be live. Thanks again, everyone.